All right, we are live and ready to go. So here's Elena.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining today. We're going to talk about phytochemicals, and what better time of year to talk about that, right? When everything is starting to pop and grow. Um, Also, we're not using the oven today, which is probably a good thing too. Keep that air conditioner working. Um, we're going to get started with our slides and then we'll pop into our recipes at the end. So let me share my screen. Great. Let me just get the proper view up for us. Doesn't want to work for some reason. Let me stop sharing real quick and I'm going to just reopen it because it's just a little fussy right now. Sorry. You think it was right here with the PDF, but it's not where I left it. Here it is. All right, we're going to try that one more time. There we go. Perfect. All right. So phytochemicals, so they're just also known as plant chemicals. They are things that are naturally occurring in plants. They're non-essential nutrients, so that means that we don't need them for survival, but they do offer health benefits. We find them in our plant foods, right? In our fruits, our veggies, whole grains, legumes, herbs, teas, seeds, nuts. And the interesting thing about them is that plants have a tendency to produce more phytochemicals when they're actually under a stressed condition. So, not that we want to stress out our plants, but it's their natural defense mechanism. So they do produce more of it. And we have various classes of phytochemicals. There's basically hundreds of different phytochemicals. We're going to highlight a couple of them today, probably some that you've heard of, maybe some that you haven't, and kind of just go in a little bit more in depth into those. So first are our carotenoids. And if you kind of are seeing the word carrot kind of in there, you're in the right place because we see beta carotene as one of the carotenoids. And obviously those are found in high amounts in carrots. They're also found in some other foods though. So we see them in red peppers, spinach, peaches, Brussels sprouts, sour cherries, papaya, mango. And the research around beta carotene is that it actually helps to enhance immunity. And then lutein is another carotenoid. And we find that in some of our like more, sometimes more greenish colored veggies and fruits. So asparagus, spinach, kale, green beans, orange pepper, lettuce, broccoli, parsley, pistachios. And again, lutein can help improve our immunity and then also is good for eye health. So if anybody's ever taking sometimes eye doctors will recommend like a lutein supplement or, some supplement that carries lutein, but just knowing we can get a ton of it from our plant foods, specifically, some of those leafy greens, those can just be like easy ways to incorporate in our diet. And again, like getting things from our foods is really our best place to go for getting nutrition. Lycopenes, I'm sure we've heard of that before. We typically hear of that kind of attached to tomatoes. And actually for lycopene, actually cooked tomato products tend to have a little bit more. So sauce, tomato paste, things like that that have been cooked down. Also found in sweet potatoes, pink grapefruit, guava, so pink guava specifically, watermelon, which is great this time of year, right? I'm sure everybody's enjoyed some watermelon so far this summer. Apricot, papaya, rose hip. Um, so we see that lycopene can improve eyesight, might reduce pain, and can help strengthen bones. So we talk a lot about calcium and vitamin D in bone strengthening, but there are various components in plant foods that also help strengthen our bones. And then polyphenols. So we may not have heard of this specific name, but I think maybe one or two of the actual phytochemicals in this class might be familiar to you. So anthocyanidins, I always pronounce that wrong, but they're found in our berries, right? So blueberries, cranberries, red grapes, pomegranate, red cabbage, raspberries. So this time of year, berries are totally in and available. If you live in an area, you might already even be seeing some wild berries coming in, right? So I have a lot of wine berries up here. I don't know if anybody has those, but they look like small raspberries. Super sweet, super yummy. Um, they are an invasive, but as far as invasives go, I'll take the wine berries invading my property. I'm okay with it. But this group of phytochemicals can help protect against cardiovascular disease, prevention of inflammation, and also allergies. Um, so again, kind of looking at each one of these is kind of different colors and different fruits and veggies. So we kind of talk about like eating that rainbow as a way to kind of expose ourselves to a variety of these. Flavanols. So these are found in chocolate, tea, and grapes. And we see some action against free radicals with these, specifically dark chocolate. That's going to give you your biggest bang for your buck with the phytochemicals. Also can help reduce inflammation and allergies. So all good things, right? We kind of want to reduce all of those things. And then phytosterols. I really picked this class because I thought some of the hair stuff was interesting. I actually hadn't heard of it before, but I thought I would share it with you all. So cytostanol found in pepper, banana, pomegranate, soybean, and olives can help reduce chance of heart attack and stroke, and then also can improve hair growth. I thought that was cool. And then cytosterol, which is found in avocado, hazelnut, walnut, soybean, olive, canola. So that's sterol typically like is linked, it means fat. So that's found in kind of some of those foods that have the healthy fats in them. And these specifically can help reduce chance of cardiovascular disease and promote anti-cancer properties. And we're going to have a little avocado in one of our recipes today. So we've talked about 5 a day before, right? So 5 a day is kind of a great way to get a variety of fruits and vegetables in. But has anybody heard of this 30 a week, 30 different plant foods a week challenge? It's kind of starting to gain some traction, but this group, the American Gut Project, they saw that people eating 30 unique plant foods a week had better gut microbiome diversity, so better bacteria balance in the gut than those only eating 10 unique plant foods weekly. So, that includes fruits, veggies, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, herbs, and spices. So I'm sure most of you are hitting that 30 a week. But, it might be fun to just kind of like take a week and write down how many you're getting unique plant foods. I mean, just in our recipes today, I think we're getting about 8. So, that's in one day. So I think it's a fun thing to play around with, but it really kind of shows us what we might be able to work on and, might just make us feel good if we're doing really good and hitting that 30 different plant foods a week. Some ways to hit that goal. adding mixed greens, herbs, seeds to salads. So really kind of taking that salad and bringing it up a notch. Trying beans or lentils in meals, those are great on salads too. Maybe rotate fruits and veggies throughout the week. So, when you're shopping, if you go once a week, you might get some of your things that go, maybe a smaller amount of things that go bad quickly. And then maybe you get like a melon for the end of the week. Cause like a melon, specifically a watermelon can hold up for a couple days on the counter. Um, and then spicing things up with seasonings because the herbs and the spices do count as one of those unique plant foods. And then we have that 5-a-day research still. I think I've talked about this in a previous class, but I wanted to touch on it again. So 5 servings of fruits and vegetables daily was associated with lower mortality. And that was about 2 servings of fruit and 3 servings of vegetables a day. And we see that with that, like it definitely took out the fruit juice and the potatoes. They did not see an association with lower mortality with those being part of that 5 servings a day. And choosing a variety of vibrant colors of fruits and vegetables daily, aiming for at least 5 servings. And searching your local vegetables and fruits in your area by checking out this website. And I'm just going to pull it up. I know I pulled it up last summer, but I like to just remind people what it is and what it looks like. So let's pull that up real quick. Now, are you seeing that screen loading up? No? Okay. Let's reshare that screen. All right, is that good? You can see that?
There it
Okay.
is.
I'm gonna put in my old zip code. What was that? I think it was that, right? Is that Wilmington? Let's see. No, that wasn't my old zip code. What's Wilmington's zip code? 19 or 18?
Try 808, 19808.
Ah, okay. Oh, okay. I was putting Easton, PA still. That's what was wrong. All right. No results found. What the heck? It keeps putting Easton, PA. Hold on. Let me fix this. We'll do. Well, you know what? I think that it's not for a zip code. We'll just put Wilmington, Delaware here. There we go. Okay. Oh my gosh, why is it still going to Easton? What's happening? Not my day for tech stuff. It keeps defaulting to Easton, PA. I don't know what's happening. Well, I'm gonna try one more time. That's making me mad. Oh my goodness. At any rate, when you put your zip code in, you'll be able to search your farms. So you'll be able to hit CSA and find a community supported agriculture if you're interested in that. And that's where you can buy a share of a farm. You can also search farms specifically. And then farmers markets, which I think is, you can kind of see what times your markets are in your area. And then there used to be a place where you can also search like local restaurants. Let's see, events. That's nice. So the events gives you some different things, festivals and things. So I like to play around with that website. It's a lot of fun when it cooperates, which it isn't doing today. All right, so let's stop sharing that. We'll get back to our slides. Back to the slides. Okay. So let's look at a sample day of a diet high in phytochemicals. So starting out breakfast with some oatmeal with berries, flax, and cinnamon. So you're hitting like 4 right there. Lunch would be a kale salad with chickpeas, carrots, and olive oil. So it's like another 4. Snack, green tea, and an apple with almond. So there's almond butter. So there's 2 there. A stir fry with broccoli, peppers, tofu, garlic, and ginger for dinner. So there's 5. So just in that day, you're getting like 15 unique foods. Oops. And then obviously, as always, some different recipe websites that I like that you can play around with. Okay, so that wraps up my slides. Does anybody have any questions on any of those? All right, so we can get
I
started.
have a question.
Sure.
So, how do you feel about organics versus
Mhm.
farm with the pesticides?
Yeah. I mean, so we have seen in the research that people still have good outcomes, health outcomes, just by eating fruits and vegetables. So we don't see, it in the research that we need to specifically be choosing organic all of the time. Now, if people, so, sometimes it becomes a financial thing. Obviously, organic is more expensive. And since the research isn't there, like, buying what we can afford, some people choose to spend a little more on organic. There's also a lot of local farms that don't get the certification to be organic, but have more organic practices. And we do know if we are buying kind of more like locally grown stuff, it's going to be um, in season, you're going to get it more at its peak nutrition. So, it's kind of, more of a personal decision from a scientific standpoint. We don't see the research to support needing to eat organic. But, it's up to each person. Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? All right, so let's get started with our recipes. I think let's do our spinach and arugula salad first. So we're going to start with making our dressing. So this dressing, I think is, what I like about it is that we're not adding oil. So I mean, oil's fine, but we don't always need to use it when we're making a dressing. And this is actually going to be a nice, fresh dressing without oil in it. So I'm going to do my orange first. So we're going to juice an orange. So I'm going to get about a quarter cup of orange juice in this. And just using my fork trick because again, I don't really have something to juice with. And this seems to just do the trick for me. So I just go around the edge if you haven't done this before and just kind of help squeeze it with the fork basically. I'm going to get a quarter cup of juice. These are just like the Valencia oranges. Unfortunately, I don't know where my quarter cup is, so we're just going to do half of a half cup. There we go. All right, so then we're going to do 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. And then we're going to do a tablespoon of water. All right. So we have that. Now we're going to add some Dijon mustard. Dijon mustard is nice for dressings because it does add a little bit of salt, like a little bit of a salt to it without having to add salt. It just gives it that same flavor. And then it also helps just give it a bit of a savory type of a flavor, which is nice. So we're gonna do a teaspoon of Dijon. And then I'm gonna do a half of a teaspoon of honey. And honestly, when making a dressing, I only ever feel like a half teaspoon is what's needed. Sometimes if you find recipes online, it'll call for 2 teaspoons of sweetener. And, obviously if you buy salad dressing at the store, a lot of times it's got 3-4 grams of added sugar. So for this recipe, you're gonna have, less than a gram of added sugar per serving. Because 1 teaspoon has 4 grams of added sugar. And if you don't like honey, maple syrup will work, or even just a little bit of like brown sugar or white sugar. And give it a little stir, whisk it around a bit. Good. Got it there. So this is a really nice dressing. This is a nice salad for this time of year. It's fresh. I love arugula, but arugula can be a little overpowering, but having a little bit of strawberries with it, this dressing, mixing it with some spinach really helps to offset some of that strong flavor that's happening. So for the arugula, we're doing 2 cups. And I feel like arugula is always something that's pretty easy to grow if you're ever, kind of planting greens. And then we're going to do our baby. So we're going to do, should we use only one of these. And spinach is great in terms of, it has a lot of good vitamins in it. It also has a little bit of iron. And I think, we may have mentioned in one of our classes that as far as spinach goes, I didn't get baby spinach. I would get baby spinach if you're making this. But as far as spinach goes, the iron, we absorb iron better from plant foods when we're having it with something that has vitamin C in it. So it does have a little bit of vitamin C in its own. Our dressing is going to have some vitamin C from our orange. And then our strawberries are going to have some vitamin C. So that all helps to absorb that plant form of iron that is in the spinach. Now we're going to do a cup of sliced strawberries. So just rinse these off and slice them and add them to the salad. And really adding different fruits to this would be good too. So for example, if you like blueberries, this would be nice with blueberries or raspberries. I'm just going to slice them. We'll just add these to our salad. And then we're going to mix in some pecans. So we're going to do a half cup of pecans. Pecans are actually a nut that have a really high level of antioxidants in them. So they're a good choice. They're a little more expensive than some other nuts. So walnuts would work really good in this salad as well. They tend to be a little cheaper. And I'm just going to pour our dressing on top. And then you have a nice little summer salad. Great. All right. So let's move on to our avocado salad. We're doing an avocado kiwi salsa. So I think it's fun to pair avocado with different things, like things that we might not know about. I went out to this restaurant around here and they had a guacamole that was like almonds, blue cheese, apple, obviously avocado, and it was so interesting. It actually tasted really good. And I was like, I would have never thought to put all that stuff together, but it ended up being really nice. So I had some kiwi. So I was like, let's try a little kiwi with some avocado and see how that goes. And it's really amazing. So my avocado, it's been sitting out for a couple of days. So it's just, it's just got that firm. You can just kind of give a little bit when you push on it. And I think I've mentioned before, and this one might not be good, we'll see. But I think I've mentioned before with avocado that if you have it get to the right point, and then you put it in the fridge, it'll hold for a couple days like that. The fridge kind of like stalls it out a little bit. So that can be helpful. I'm not loving that one. I do have another one. Let me see if I have a better one. That is the tricky part with avocados, getting the right one, right? And I'll still use that for something. I just want my salad to be a little bit prettier than that. Perfect. All right, so we're going to take the pit out. And then I always like to just slice it and then I peel the skin off and then I'll cut it. Especially if I'm making a salad. If I'm doing guacamole, peeling it out or scooping it out is fine. But this tends to make it a little nicer if you're cutting it. Now for this, you could also add a red onion, something like that to kind of boost it up a little bit, even maybe some jalapeno if you want it to be a little spicier. Right, so now for our kiwi, we're just going to, we'll take the skin off, the top and the bottom off, and then I'm just going to kind of cut around getting the skin off of it. Kiwis are actually great for vitamin C, and then they also are really good source. They have a good bit of fiber, and there's actually some research that they are really helpful for people who have constipation issues. So adding in some kiwis can be really helpful, and you can eat the skin. Just having the skin in my salad is a little weird, but if you're just eating it by itself, you can definitely eat the skin of it. Now, if you're having to limit fiber, peeling it would be best. And taking out the seeds, but if you're not having issues with your digestive tract and you can have fiber, you're good to go with the whole kiwi. And now I'm just going to cut up one more. Okay. There's actually a certain type of kiwi that grows around here. Has anybody seen that? The kiwi berry grows on vines. Kiwi grows on vines, but we are able to grow a kiwi berry around here. I keep wanting to plant some, but I have not done that yet. We do sell them sometimes at Wegmans if you ever get there. And I did hear that they put a Wegmans right by Cancer Support Community now, right? My husband he still works in Delaware, so he works right at DuPont down there and told me that he's driving past a Wegmans every day. All right. So now we're going to chop some tomatoes for this salad. And we're going to do about a half cup of diced tomatoes. And I've been really liking, I know we've talked about Aldi before, but I've been really liking their, what are they called? They have these Wild Wonders gourmet medley of the tomatoes, and they're only maybe like $1.99. They're pretty inexpensive, but they're really tasty. But pretty soon our local tomatoes will be coming in, so that'll be even better. You guys will get them before I do. All right, so we're gonna do a half cup, and we'll just do mixed, some different colors. Basically using like a full-size tomato would make a little more sense for the chopping, but this will be tasty. And then I'm going to add in some lime juice. I'm actually going to do a whole lime, and this is actually going to help from it browning, and then it's also just going to give it a really nice flavor. Limes never seem to have seeds, so I always just squeeze the lime right in. I'm not sure what's been changed about them not having seeds, but seems to be the norm. It smells so fresh. Great. All right, so we have that. And now we're just going to add a little bit of salt. So we're going to do 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to do some black pepper as well. And I want to put some black pepper on the other salad too, because I forgot to do that, but that's really nice on top of that as well. So this salsa can be used you know, in maybe a fish taco. You could use it as a side dish serve it with chips on a veggie burger, all sorts of yummy things that you can do with it. But that is my recipes, my slides. Went a little faster than I thought it was today, so I apologize for that. Maybe you can at some point get outside if it cools off a little bit. Does anybody have any questions?
No, but great recipes.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
How about anything that you guys, you know, I have a couple. I sent Erica kind of the list of the next grouping of classes I'll do. Does anybody have anything they want, you know, recipes for, ideas for, and feel free to shoot them over to her if you can't think of anything right now.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Different, you know, I don't know. I'll have to look back at what we haven't done yet.
No, the salads both look very refreshing, actually.
Oh, good. I feel like it's a good time of year. I might actually
Yes.
combine them and see how that goes.
There you go.
Wonderful. Great. Yeah, maybe we'll do some like other quick summer meal ideas or something. Do you guys feel like that would be helpful?
That's a great idea, like minimal cooking in the heat. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, perfect. Yeah,
Great. Thank
we'll do
you.
that next time. Wonderful. Well, thank you all.
Okay, everybody take care and stay cool.
Yeah,
Very much.
as well.
Thank you so much.